I'm excited to share that the show is moving to a new time and a new day. In 2018, join me at 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. every Sunday to get your week started with intention and power on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
It's Women's History Month, and WVON is celebrating woke women all month long. Listen for our special features weekdays in March on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON, powered by ComEd and U Chicago Medicine. The Talk of Chicago and the voice of the nation is 1690 WVON, Chicago.
The views expressed on our programs are not necessarily those of WVON, Midway Broadcasting Corporation, or our participating sponsors.
Live from the Xfinity Studios at WVON. We're your original social media. You're listening to Inspirational Perspective with Linal Harris on 1690, The Talk of Chicago.
All right, we're back. And if you're just joining, you're listening to Inspirational Perspective. I'm your host, Linal Harris, Chicago's own life coach, right here on WBON 1690 AM, the Talk of Chicago. Well, I'm excited about this next segment because we have our very own Damon Williams on the line. Good morning, Damon. How are you, brother?
Good morning, and good morning.
Man, good to have you on the line. Hey, what about Loyola?
Man, when I tell you they did the thing last night, it was a fantastic thing. It's a great story for the city. It's a great for sports. It's just a beautiful thing. Sister Jane, intervention, everything. It's ridiculous.
Man, so do you think it's her prayers or their skill, or combination of both?
I'm gonna go with it's Sunday, so we're gonna say it's the prayers. I mean, older people get a direct line to Jesus. You know, when you get to be 98 years old, Jesus is sitting on the edge of your bed. You hear the prayer as soon as you say them. You even gotta think them.
So as soon as you say them, it's not even a line. Okay, I love that, man. Yeah, he right there. So Damon, man, it's good. It's good to have you on the air, brother. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's a pleasure to be on, and apologies to everyone, that I'm on the phone because I had a big conference for the Sigma Gamma Rho Central Regional Conference, and it's in Lincolnshire, and to get from Lincolnshire to 87th Street would have been tricky this morning. You wouldn't even want it. It might have been dangerous for me to try to get there.
Hey, no, do what's right for you, man. I mean, we were texting about it. It's all good. And like I said, no worries. We're going to make it work. And the the good thing is that you will be in person at the summit. That's all that matters. The Murder Mediocrity Summit coming up. Yeah.
Absolutely. We're going to murder some mediocrity, and we're going to let them know how it takes tenacity and determination and drive and goals and goal setting to reach the pinnacle of anything you're trying to do, and that goes for comedy or speaking engagements or things of that nature. So I'm looking forward to sharing the stage with the great people involved with the panel and the people of Chicago coming out to hear it.
That's right. So let's talk about that, Damon, because you've been in the entertainment business for 25 years, man. I mean, it's been 25 years, right?
25 in a row.
I mean,
non-stop, directly. Yep.
And by the way, that's a huge feat because so many people come and go, and for as long as I can remember, you've been making me laugh. And you've been making people laugh, and you've been doing your work. So what I want to know, I want to know a little bit about your process. How does one stay so consistent in this business, because it's a mean business?
Well, I tell you, the consistency comes from the fact that bills are very consistent. Bills don't stop coming. I don't give a damn how you feel. Bills are very consistent. In fact, they don't skip a month.
That is true. So that's true.
But the process, though, really, truly, first of all, when you do what you love, and it's a passion, then the process is much simpler. But I've been dedicated to what I'm doing. And the funny thing is, a lot of people have higher ambitions for my career than I had initially set for myself. My goal was to be able to travel the country and be the last guy on stage at a comedy show. So if I'm the guy on the flyer and I have people show up to see the guy on the flyer, and that guy be me when they get there. And I learned it, man, from the best, under the tutelage of Bernie Mac and George Wilborn in Chicago.
Man.
And all jokes aside, and all jokes aside, was such a professionally run situation. It was an incubator for talent around the country. People like Cedric the Entertainer, who was in town last night at the Chicago Theater. I mean, I remember when Sid would drive from St. Louis in his Mustang just to come do the Wednesday night open mic and hang out in the city. And of course, now he's gone to higher heights. So I've reached that one goal, and now I don't want to plateau at this level. I want to go into the acting and the sitcoms and things of that nature. Now, a lot of people say, well, you needed to go to Hollywood. Hollywood is out there. But Bernie Mac said, listen, don't rush off to L.A., and I'm going to give you some direct advice, but I'm going to have to paraphrase because it was Bernie Mac talking.
Right.
Right, it's Sunday morning. But Bernie said, look, give you some good advice. First of all, pay your taxes. Second of all, conquer your hometown. He said, don't rush off to L.A. You don't want to be a small fish in a big pond, because a lot of these cats leave their hometown too soon, and they come out here and they end up broke or going down on men. I'm like, whoa. Ain't no middle ground?
That sounds like Bernie. Well, there was no middle ground with Bernie. God bless him, man.
Exactly. I'm like, well, it ain't broke or selling cars or broke or waiting on tables. Those are the two extremes. So I kind of looked at Chicago as a market, first of all, that people want to get to. If you perform in entertainment anywhere from the world, you want to get to Chicago. You want to say you perform in Chicago. So I use that as my platform to bring in artists and be a promoter. So I learned to promote shows. And that's what really extended my longevity, is because if you're giving people work, people will give you work. So if you're known for booking other people, then when other people have opportunity, but let me get him the shot, because then he might bring me to Chicago.
Yep.
So I utilize, the strength of Chicago to keep me in the game. And then you got to do good work. I mean, every time you do it, you can't take a day off. If you get in a room full of people and it's packed, you got to do the show. And if there's 6 people, you got to do a show. So it gets to a point where something.
So, Damon, I got to slow you down, man, because you dropping nuggets. Do you know how many nuggets you just dropped?
Well, I was trying to hit all the corners. I don't know how many minutes we got on the air, but we got 45 more minutes, so we good. But I want to cover something, because you're dropping some major nuggets, and I think people who are listening, they're listening to you and they're listening to your story, but I want to make sure they hear the nuggets, man. So the first thing I heard from you, well, number one, to be a comedian in Chicago, to keep Chicago laughing, you got to be funny. Okay, because Chicago, you're a Chicagoan, right? If you're not funny, we'll be like, get rid of this dude, man, he's horrible. And so you've been making people laugh in Chicago for 25 years. You funny, brother. I mean, period. You funny. So number one, let's give you your props. Because Chicago, I've been to L.A., I've been to some L.A. sets, and people get up, they're not that great, and it's kind of like, he ain't going to make it, but nobody boos him off the stage, right? Right.
In Chicago, they will sit you down.
It's definitely a different energy. I mean, coming from the Midwest first, and then specifically Chicago, Detroit, St. Louis, when you do places like that, it's the real. But if you do it here, if you learn it here, and you're competing against comedians that are from here and it's on your circuit, when you go anywhere else, it's a cakewalk, So that's the beauty of being in a city like Chicago. It's unkind and unfeeling when it comes to. We don't give a darn about your feelings. You came in here. If I paid $3 to get in here, I want $3 worth.
I want to laugh. I want $3 worth of laughs, and you ain't gave me $1.
But on the same token, though, when you are funny, they will give it up.
That's real.
They will encourage you to be funny.
Very true.
So early in my career, I learned, like I said, the promotional side of the business. So when I didn't have the fans,
so I want to talk about that too, man, because so you had your 25th anniversary comedy special. That was a few months ago, and my wife and I, we had the chance to come out and support it. And one of the things I heard, so you had a lot of people who came back from wherever they were to be at the special. And one of the things I heard that really, really resonated with me in terms of who you are is how many people, good comedians, got on that stage and gave homage to you for helping them. As a matter of fact, some of them talked about, man, nobody else would help me. Damon let me sleep on his couch. I could go through the stories that I heard, and I don't think people know that about you. They know the work that you do. They know that you're a comedian, but I don't think they know how you pour into other people and how you help other people and how that's actually helped you.
Absolutely. And to be honest, I did it because I had the opportunity presented to me. And here's the thing. Back in the day, we had BET's Comedy View. And if you got on BET or Def Comedy Jam in those days, it was only, X amount of shows that people watched that gave black comedians a shot. So we had a built-in, tuned-in audience. So once I got BET, me and V. Cole were the first two guys to win because it was a competition back in the day. I felt like, let me lay the path that I went to so that other guys can do it. Now, part of it was because, there's strength in numbers. So if we all got on, then more people will come to our shows. Right. The other part was, it's a crab in the barrel mentality in the comedy game. So if my claim to fame was BET's Comic View, and some people thought, because George Wilborn was my cousin, I got a lot of opportunities through George, which I didn't, that's how I got on. I said, well, let me give everybody the same opportunity, same even playing field. Everybody get on BET, and then see what you do with it.
Right.
So there were a lot of people that took it and they soared. You got people like D. Ray Davis, who went on to do great things. D. Ray poured into Lil Rel, who, practically he got the MTV Movie Award for Get Out. So, we passed it down, but it made our whole circuit stronger. So I didn't do it for any particular reason. I just felt like it was the thing to do. And here's the thing. Back then, and I hate to run on, answers, but I'm giving you all the whole.
No, I love it.
Here's the thing. Individually, if you wanted to get on the show, you had to send in a VHS tape. But I said, how about if we just do one tape and then send in that one tape with all the Chicago comics? That way they're guaranteed to watch it. If you sent your tape in and it got stuck in the pile, that's one thing. But if somebody said, look, this tape came from Damon Williams, and he's already been on the show. He's already won his special, but he sent in an audition tape for the circuit in Chicago. Now they don't have to go through it. They just went through and they picked as many people as they could off of their tape. So one year, there were 24 or 25 of us all on the same season in L.A., and then it happened again in Atlanta. So that kind of is like the legacy that I have. But I didn't do it for any particular reason. I just felt like it was a thing to do.
And you know what? That tells me a lot about your character. And what it tells me, Damon, is that you haven't hit the height yet that you're going to hit. Because here's the thing, right? And this is how life works. It's a boomerang. I mean, the people that you've helped, it's going to come back. It's going to come back. And I can't wait to see it come back. I don't know of a better person, better comedian for it to happen to in terms of if you're making this move to acting. I have no doubt that we've seen you on the big screen. We've seen you on the big screen. We've seen you do some phenomenal things and some funny things. But I don't think we've really seen what Damon's going to do, and that's really for me when I heard the other comedians pay homage to you, I was like, man, Damon's got some big things coming, because that's what happens for people who are willing to give. And I just want the audience, the listeners, to hear that, because I think so often we're so concerned about ourselves and we're not thinking about other people. And like you said, it was just a thing to do. No, man. That it's not just a thing to do for a lot of people, and I just definitely want to acknowledge your willingness to give to other people, man. That's amazing. It's inspiring, and more of us need to adapt that type of character.
Well, I appreciate it, and like I said, it's my nature to do so. But it also, the other thing about it is, a lot of times, like I said, people have higher ambitions for you than you have for yourself, and sometimes you have to kind of, snap out of that and be like, well, let me go ahead and shoot aim higher too. Yeah. But in the process, see, for me, I have a slogan. I like to say, progress is a process. You know what I mean? Yes. So in the process, you need to have to, anybody out there listening, trying to do anything in life, any career choice, any goal, aspiration, trust the process and enjoy the journey of the process. So each level of the way, I've been, fulfilling goals that I personally set and goals that I didn't even see coming because I'm enjoying the journey. Now, you have to do this thing with blinders on, though. You have to stay in your lane and look at your journey. Otherwise, you'll become concerned about how others have advanced or some that you feel should have been better.
Yeah.
And you'll start to compare other success or other failures to yourself when that's not for you. That's not for you to do.
So, Damon, that's another nugget, man. And this brother's got a lot of wisdom, man. I mean, and so I'm starting to understand why you've been as successful as you've been over the last 25 years. I'm getting it, having this conversation, and if nobody else gets it, I get it. Because what you just said is, and I talk about this in terms, so you said earlier, well, it was my purpose, and this is what I'm supposed to do. That's why I kept pushing. That's why I've been at this for 25 years. Number one, I believe in purpose all day. I mean, this is my purpose, what I do. Inspiring people, helping them to live the best life possible. And it hasn't always been easy. And like you said, the bills keep coming, so you got to keep pushing. You got to keep grinding. So I respect that. But when you said, here's the piece that really stuck out for me. When I'm living my purpose, it's my purpose. It's my path. And if you're living your purpose, it's your purpose and it's your path. And what happens to people who aren't purpose-based is they do compare themselves. And I love your perspective on that, where I'm not comparing myself to anybody because I'm on my journey and I'm living my purpose. That was beautiful, man. That was absolutely beautiful.
And that's what'll keep you sane through the process. Because,
yes.
That part of it, if you look too far ahead, you're not enjoying your present. And if you look too far back, you're not enjoying your present. I mean, you can't control what's happened before, and you can aim for what's about to happen, but what is actually happening is what you should be trying to take and get the most from, So if a person out there right now is in school, don't be thinking about how you're going to get to the career and be the CEO, because at some point, prior to being a CEO, you have to be an employee. But if you're so busy looking at the CEO seat, you're not enjoying the fact that you studied and learned to do something. Now you're actually getting paid and able to eat and live and drink and do what you do from that until you get to that next level. And that will drive you crazy. Now, some people have a certain amount of ambition, a certain amount of, a different competitive nature, and it's okay to have that and have that fuel you, but it cannot control and consume you. And so I don't compete with anyone except myself. I'm trying to be the best comedian, the best me I can be today, and aim to be a better one tomorrow. And I'm not saying that I have all the answers, and that hasn't been times when you feel like you should be doing better, or you feel like this and the other.
Absolutely.
But how you deal with that when it happens, you have to change your mindset. My whole mindset had to be changed, because in this business especially, it's only a certain amount of opportunities that pop up per year, per week, per studio, per the entertainment game. So right now, Tiffany Haddish is in her moment. We'll give her that example.
Yes.
But I was on the phone with a young lady who's been in the business way longer than Tiffany. She's funnier doing stand-up than Tiffany. She's toured and she's had major success. And I had to tell her, I said, you can't look at Tiffany's journey. You can't. That wasn't meant for that to be. And in the meantime, you have not had a day job in 25 years. You've been traveling the country with major artists,
doing your work,
making people laugh.
Yeah.
You put your kids through school. They're adults. You have grandchildren. All of this because of what you do. So, and then I'll tell you this about entertainment. Fame, real fame, comes with a price.
Ooh, yeah, man.
Real fame. I've seen really famous people and the stress it causes and the loss of. Be happy if you have an anonymity, because if you're the type of person that everywhere you go, everybody knows you, then you have no time for you. So I'm happy that my main fan base is black, because at least if I go someplace like Salt Lake City, don't nobody, because the white people ain't watching it. You know what I mean?
Right. You can actually get away and enjoy yourself without somebody walking up asking for an autograph and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not even a problem that they ask that, but what people have to realize, when you lose your anonymity and you're someone that people admire and enjoy your work, that person, when they see you, that's the first chance and the only chance they might ever have to just say to you, man, I appreciate what you do, or I like what you do.
Right.
Okay, so that's a beautiful thing, and you appreciate that. But if every step you take, there's a person standing there waiting to say that could drive you nuts as well.
Yeah.
So be careful what you ask for, you know. So that's why I'm cool.
So real quick, let me, because I mean, if you notice, I'm just processing these nuggets, man. I mean, it's really good. By the way, I have my creative design director of creative design for Inspirational Perspective in the studio. He's over here smiling, nodding his head like, man, this is really, really good, right? But so what I love about what you just shared is what you're telling listeners is that when we are comparing ourselves or worried about what happened or what will happen, we are not fully being present in the moment. And here's what it tells me. You not only have you mastered the craft of comedy, but you've mastered what laughter actually does for us. So I was watching Jim Carrey's documentary. I forgot the name of it. I know it's about the Andy Kaufman movie. I can't remember the name of it. But and by the way, it's a good watch. I think you'll enjoy it. But especially as a comedian, I think you'll get where he's going. But one of the things he said is, he was like, when people come to see you, and same thing for you, Damon, when people come to see you, that what they're really coming for is for you to interrupt their process and put them in the moment. I mean, that's what they're coming for, because we're all working hard. We're going a million miles a minute. You know, the wife and I might have been arguing in the car before we walked in. We weren't, by the way. But, you know, I'm just saying. Right? But we might have been arguing before we walked in. And then when you get on stage, we forget all that. Because we're in the moment with you and we're laughing. And that's what makes laughter so powerful and the work that you do so powerful. You put us in the moment. And so here you are right now. We're kind of just talking life. And, you know, you're not even being funny. And what I'm getting is that you've actually mastered this in your life, the ability to be in the moment and enjoy the moment and enjoy the blessings that you presently have versus worrying about what other people have, what they don't have, how big you are, and to enjoy the blessing of where you are right now. Because, hey, that fame that's one of those things where it's like, ooh, I mean, you watch it, or if you're around famous people, and I've worked with, man, it's kind of like, I don't know if I want that. That's not cool.
It's weird, dude. It's really weird. And you know, if it comes, it comes. You know, and if you do good work, you're gonna establish a fan base. Mm-hmm. But that superstardom and the star. That's why you have. If you look at the history of the business, just in comedy, we can take a few examples. There have been people. Dave Chappelle had to leave on a sabbatical from a $50 million check because it was so crazy. Yeah. Martin Lawrence was out in the middle of traffic in a sweatsuit, you know, pointing a gun because Chris Tucker, you know, he was when Chris Tucker did Money Talks and then did the first Rush Hour. Mm-hmm. He had a comedy club in Atlanta, and that was the first time I had a chance to chop it up with him. I had met him before, and I wasn't sure that he was aware of my work. But Thea Vidal and I were in a play in Atlanta, and Thea was his mentor. He stayed on her couch when she was in L.A. Okay. So she's like, I got to go to that club. Chris wanted us to come by, blah 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 blah. Now I'm not thinking Chris wants to see me, but when he saw me, he was like, man, come here, man. You're funny, man. Man, I want you to do the club, right? But he had this stress across his forehead. First of all, he came out the shadows. Like, you know, I'm like, where'd he come from? Like, he was leaning against the wall. He pulled, and he snatched me to the side. Like, hey, man, let me talk to you right quick. I'm like, dude, where you come from? So he was in his own club, hiding from his own people because people were so on him. And like his brother's a friend of mine. He told me, man, it got to the point where when he go to the airport, they had to call in advance because he couldn't get to an airport without them, you know, people mobbing him. So I saw that. But in the same token, you want success so that you can, you know, fulfill your goals and feed your family and things of that nature. But to be out here and be super duper famous, man, it's a tricky thing. Yeah. But what I tell people too is if you're enjoying your process, think about when you first started doing this thing. To get to be where I am now would have been the ultimate. Like I wouldn't even believe it. when I first started, because all I wanted to do was go up to All Jokes Aside on Wednesday night and make sure people laugh and leave them with some laughs. Then laughs became an occupation, and occupation became, nationwide. And nationwide has expanded to other countries and other places that I go, that I do things, And the experiences I've had, and the places I've been, and the people I've seen, to be a young dude from the city of Chicago on the South Side who didn't really finish high school the traditional way, never went to college, to travel the world and be on the phone on the WVON, the historic radio station that it is, talking about my journey, that's success for me.
Yeah.
So I don't let other people's aspirations for me drive me, and I don't like to say that what could have been, should have been, this, that, and the other, because you can't change the path you've taken. Right. And then one of my choices also to stay in Chicago is because I'm a father. My son was born and raised in the city of Chicago, and young men out here right now, if I'd have went to L.A. and tried to pursue stardom and I lost the relationship I had with my son, or I wasn't able to be there when my mother needs me in Chicago, then I would have missed out on something. It would have been an empty success. Right. So it is what you have for yourself. So I'm glad that people still come, still laugh, and I'm still able, and I'm still relevant, and I have my health and strength to do it. And Chicago, embrace what I'm doing now, like riddles and things of that nature, because, like you said, there is more to come. And it may pull me away, but until I'm forced to leave Chicago, I won't be doing that.
So let's talk about that real quick, because I know you're doing the spot at Riddles. So, people who are listening, I'm a fan. I think just about everybody in Chicago that listens to WVON, right? God's favorite, Pam Morris says, God's favorite radio station.
Amen. Amen.
They love Damon Williams. So where can we come check you out, man, and spend some time with you and laugh with you?
The beauty of it now is, I finally have a home base in Chicago. For years, we did a thing called Funny First Saturdays, me and my partner, Steve Capers. Once a month, we moved it from, we were at Holiday Inn Madison, we were on 47 when the Spoken Word Cafe was there, then we went to downtown Chicago, Hilton, moved out to the south suburbs of Crestwood. Then we lost our venue. And so what happened, people were expecting me to be there all the time, so it kind of fell off. But now I have a enterprise with partnering with Riddles Comedy Club, which is 1 block west of Cicero on 111th Street, a really nicely developed area where they have the new Cooper's Hawk and all those stores and the restaurants over there right by us. If I'm not there, I'll be there more than I want. So Riddles is my new home base, and I'm not only doing it myself, I am bringing in a plethora of national comics, and I'm also bringing comics from Chicago and some of the veterans who have kind of gotten, pushed to the side because of this new social media phenomenon where, if a person has 1 million followers but 22 jokes, they can get booked. Right. Well, we taking it back to the essence of comedy, where you got to be a straight-up stand-up comedian. You telling jokes. You're not up here putting on wigs and doing old lady characters and, acting like a woman, and, because there's a lot of that on the internet right now. Right. Where I don't know why they think black men being a black woman, no disrespect to Tyler Perry, and I ain't saying he's in this genre, but I don't know why that's such a catchy phenomenon. So Riddles Comedy Club.
I do.
And I'm taking the Friday and Saturdays. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just every Friday and Saturday.
So every Friday and Saturday at what time?
Yeah. 8 and 10:30 on Friday and Saturday. Probably once the summer hits, we'll probably scale back to 1 show at 9 on Fridays and 2 shows 8 and 10:30 on Saturdays. And it's affordable. It's nice. It's $15 on Eventbrite. You can't beat the price. I mean, if you can't spend $15 a month for your therapy, because laughter is literally a medicine. People say it's a therapy. Like you said, if you arguing, or you lost a loved one, or you're going through stress, or you're worried about your kids, or you're worried about your relationship, sometimes couples can come and laugh together, and they'll leave there with the endorphins and take that to the next phase and take it home, and it'll carry over in a week. So
might carry over in 9 months.
Yeah, well, exactly. I tell you what, I am responsible for several relationships. People that have gotten married, they met at our club, the Wednesday night we used to do, or they met at the Thursday we used to do, and they come back and they say, look, man, we've been together 9 years, we've been together 10 years. I had one couple come, and they had grown twins that they sent to college, and they met at my New Year's Eve show.
Wow.
So,
wow.
yeah, and stories like that really, really, hit home for me. Like I say, you've been doing something for 25 years. You look up and the legacy is there. So get out and get you some laughs, even if it's not with us. Laugh all the time. If you're in a relationship, laugh with your mate. I mean, that's one of the most important things I can tell people.
Yeah.
If you can laugh at each other or laugh with each other, you'll get through the harder times because you can laugh at it. Or after you had that argument, look back and say the silly things you said. Be like, girl, you was crazy for saying that. You're like, you was crazy for saying that. And laugh it off. You know what I mean?
Right.
Laughter is very important. That's why if you go to most church services now, most ministers, most speakers in the church have humor in their service.
Yeah. They
It's almost like a performance. Yeah, they get you laughing, and once you laugh, and then you get the message underneath it. So laugh as often as possible. My motto is laugh tonight, be serious tomorrow.
I love that. So riddles, Fridays, Saturdays, 8 p.m., 10:30 p.m. both days. That's where we can find you. So Pam and I, we gonna be getting out there, man. One of us gonna text you and be like, all right, when you there, we gonna show up and support. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna even tell the listeners when we going, so if they want to come and hang out with us with you, then we can all come. As a matter of fact, hey, you have a show this upcoming Saturday, right?
Yes.
What time is that?
That's 8 o'clock.
8 p.m.
and 10:30.
Okay.
So this weekend particularly, this is the official jump off of the takeover, and I'm bringing in Steve Brown. Now, if you don't know Steve Brown by the household name, you do know him from the situation he was in. He was the guy on TMZ that the heckler came out the audience and was throwing the mic stand at him. It made nationwide news, and he had to defend himself. Now, we're not saying that that's what's going on, but that's the guy. People have seen it. He made it all over the news. He was all over the place, and that's why I say about laughter. We laughed so hard about that after the fact because he was safe. Right. We laughed so hard that I did a spoof video of what he did and what he went through, and on Instagram, and that almost went semi-viral for me. So just come out and get yourself some laughs, people. Here's the thing: stress kills.
It does. It's one of the top 10 killers.
It is, and the opposite of stress is laughter.
That's right.
So we trying to save some lives.
So let's talk a little bit about life. By the way, what you said about fatherhood was powerful. Because I think some people say, in terms of opportunity, they may say, well, I got to be for me, and I love how you said, nope. The role that I'm playing now is father, and that has a lot to do with how I'm going to live out my purpose. That's something I preach, I teach, I firmly believe in. Man, Damon, we haven't had a chance to really get to know each other. And this interview, I'm like, man, this brother here, we could kick it. I mean, in terms of your thinking, man, we run parallel. I love it. And I'm learning more about why you're so successful. The other thing you said is laughter is medicine. Laughter is medicine. I couldn't agree with you more. And what do you do to laugh, man? I mean, so you're keeping us laughing. You get up on stage and, you do what you do. And you mentioned that you laugh with your wife. I want to talk about what marriage is like for a comedian in a minute. But
yes.
So tell me, what do you do to laugh? Like what gets you laughing and heals you and relieves you of your stress?
Well, I look at the humor in most situations, and that's really my job. So I have to find the humor in things that might even be dark. Mm-hmm. But I have a strong sense of humor, so I laugh at other comedians, man. I enjoy. In fact, I want to acknowledge and shout out my man Brian Smith, Brian the Wildcat. He was just on the Shaquille O'Neal All-Star Comedy Jam on Showtime, and that's a big franchise. That literally will take your career from one level to the next, seemingly in an overnight time, because they run it a lot. Mm-hmm. But there's a select few. He won a nationwide competition to get there. So I set up the other night. I was so glad to be off on the weekend and home on a Friday, and I popped on that special, man, and I laughed my head off at that. It was he, Bill Bellamy, this young lady named Ada Rodriguez, Bruce, and it has to be one other comic. I'm trying to think of and Huggy Lowdown.
Okay, man, that was a nice lineup. Yeah.
So, yeah, it was awesome, dude. Yeah. So I enjoy good comedy. I enjoy good comedic films. I enjoy people like Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen is hilarious to me. She was a great stand-up, but her show is good. So, and then as you mentioned, my wife is a hilarious individual, man. She was a hairstylist for over 20 years. So, the salon is a source of humor, both the barbershop and the hair salon.
Absolutely.
So, and all we do is watch, sitcoms and comedic films and things of that nature, and we just laugh, man. So I'm fortunate and blessed to have a person that, well, actually we met at a comedy club. She was a fan coming to a comedy club years and years ago before we even had any type of romantic attachment. So that's where I get my joy, man. My son, he's now grown, but he's a funny cat,
like father, like son, huh?
Absolutely. He's a little deeper on the social activism, and he wants to change the world and make our city better and make life better. He has a center on 51st and Inglewood. In Inglewood, it's on 51st. It's 1434 West 51st, called The Breathing Room. And it's the Breathing Room, Let Us Breathe Collective, where like-minded artists and activists come together and they have, social interchange, and they spread information. And right now their big thing that they're looking at is trying to combat the fact that the city of Chicago is about to spend $95 million on an academy for police, but we're closing schools.
Right.
Police have been trained where they are. No disrespect to the people in blue out there, risking their lives on a daily basis. But, the resources could be spread a little more evenly, because the city of Chicago has closed the most schools of any city or country in the industrialized world.
Craziness, yes.
So, and if we can't keep our schools open, we shouldn't be building a country club for police officers to learn how to be police officers. They can learn right there where they've been learning.
That's right.
Because it's worked all of this time. So that's just that's their platform right now. To get that out there. But you got to find humor, man. We as a people, laughter's been a survival tactic since slavery.
That's true. That's true. That's very true.
The comedy, the chitlin circuit, the minstrel circuit, all of these things. If you know the history of comedy, we've laughed to keep from crying all our lives. So, you were growing up when we had tough times, if we weren't laughing, then you dwelling in the misery. So I choose to laugh, and I choose to make others laugh and see the humor in the darkest times. And
that's one of the questions I want to ask. So, and thanks for sharing yourself personally this morning, man. I appreciate that. Because I think a lot of us who are fans of yours, we don't, we're like, okay, man, Damon's married, how does that work? Because we want to know more about, people like you who are on the big stage, and we watch you do your thing. And so one, thanks for your authenticity and vulnerability in this conversation. And for the nuggets. Real talk. By the way, if you want to see Damon perform, live, you can see him at the Murder Mediocrity Summit this upcoming Saturday. Damon, man, we got 20. I haven't looked at my. I'm gonna look at my email real quick and see how many, if we sold any seats while I've been on the show. But before I got on the show, we sold some seats. Before I got on the show, we only have 26 seats left, man. It's gonna be a sold out house, brother.
Fantastic.
Yes, I'm blown away by it. But we sold 2 more seats, so now we only got 24 seats.
Well, after we get off the air and people either get up about their way or go ahead and pop that money in the church house, we'll catch them covered out with social media and sell the rest of those tickets.
That's
but
right.
It's really to come together and see. A lot of times people want to do something, have the desire to do something, they have the ability to do it, but they need the push and they need the guidance, and that's what Murder Mediocrity is about. It's really about quelling your fears.
Yes.
In order to murder mediocrity in any aspect of life, you first have to conquer you.
Yep.
You got to, because the biggest naysayer and the biggest voice that's blocking most people is themselves.
Man.
Thinking they can't, saying they can't, wanting to, not knowing how to, not knowing the first step. But sometimes, or all times, especially in entrepreneurial pursuit, you got to step out on faith, and you cannot worry about it. You can't have a plan B, basically. You got to do what you're planning to do, like there is no tomorrow and there is no plan B.
Amen.
It's all about this has to work. So a lot of times, you get people in this industry in comedy, but they have jobs. And when a guy tells me he's still working, that tells me that he hasn't fully bought into his real passion of doing it.
Yeah.
But now sometimes people have circumstances And I said this to Tommy Davidson one day, who's a great friend and a great comic. He said, yeah, but sometimes circumstance will limit your ass. And I'm sorry to say the word, but that's what he said, you know. If circumstance will limit you. So you have to have a full-on faith and not listen to that what if in the back of your mind.
And so here's
that what if stop you.
So
you're not going to make it.
I do have to say this because, one, by the way, Damon, you sound like somebody's coach, somebody's life coach, somebody's preacher, man. Sunday morning, they tell folks to turn me on Sunday morning before church. And this is why, because this is what I pull up out of people, right? I mean, Damon, you're killing it. And by the way, what I was going to say is, I forgot what I was going to say.
I know you said I sound like a preacher or a motivator or a speaker.
Yeah, you did. And by the way, the definition for murder mediocrity was on point. That's not what I was going to say, but the definition for murder mediocrity and what it means was right on point. It was definitely on point. I forgot what I was going to say, man. I cut you off from your thought. But my what I did want to make a point on is, dude, what you're saying is parallel to my belief. I can't say that any stronger. I mean, you are definitely lining it up. Definitely lining it up. So let me ask you this, because we all have tough moments in life. How has laughter helped you? And if you're willing to share, I mean, in the 25 years, I'm sure you've had some I know what I was about to say. So here's what I was going to say.
Okay.
You mentioned situation and circumstance and how it can limit us. And one of the things that I believe is that situation and circumstance, they often serve as a barrier, right? And I've seen this happen in my life. They often serve as a barrier that we have to push through to see if we really want it. Like if you really want it, you'll go for it. And I think one of the things that we often miss is commitment. Like when I listen to you this morning, one of the things that I've learned about you, Damon, is that you're committed to your purpose, right? Not to your work. You just said that, but to your purpose. Right, you're committed to it. And so as barriers and circumstance have come, you didn't say, well, I can't be a comedian anymore because I have a son. You were committed to both. And you figured out how to integrate it and make it all work. And that's what I'm hearing. And so when you said that about Tommy Davidson, and he was like, hey, man, sometimes, circumstance will come and bite you. Well, that's where commitment is a huge piece, because I'm sure in your life you've had some tough times where circumstance did that and you pushed forward despite it because of your commitment. Can you tell us about some of those tough times, hard times that you've had in the past where you didn't know if you would make it past and how you made it past?
Yeah, I'll give you a very prime example. This one, the moments, life-changing moments in my career, and I've had two of them actually were brought about from the same person, and that's Deion Cole. If you all know, Deion Cole is killing it right now on Blackish and Grownish, and he's on Angie Tribeca and things of that nature. But he went out there and killed it with the Conan O'Brien show. He was the first black writer on the Tonight Show, basically one of the first. But he had some tough times too. But back early, I said, okay, it has to be 1995. I had already done comic gigs, so now I'm a full-time comedian. I've been on BET. I'm getting to a little work here and there. I'm doing stuff with All Jokes Aside once a week. But I have a home, and I have a kid, and I have a mortgage. And, let me tell you how crazy it was. My only guaranteed money initially, when I did All Jokes Every Wednesday with Raymond Lambert, was $125 a week. Wow. That's the only money I knew for a fact that I was going to make. So that's $500 a month. Okay. So at one point, I was getting a little shine, a little bit of work here and there, but, it wasn't adding up. So, my utilities were adding up. And I had a joke about living out in Country Club Hills at the time and not paying my water and trash bill. And I didn't know that if you don't pay your trash bill, in the city, we've been putting garbage out all your life.
Right.
In suburbs, you get a bill, and if you don't pay it after a certain point, they won't pick up your trash. And I'm telling you, it was nothing more embarrassing than leaving your trash out in the morning, and you come home in the evening, and it's still out there. So now the whole block your garbage home.
Hey man, Country Club Hills does that?
Oh man, all the South suburbs, all the suburbs.
Wow, they just leave it out there. Like,
Man,
you ain't paid the bill.
Your garbage off, dude.
Wow.
So you need to go put that in other people's cans if you want to get this done. So,
Yeah, I think we've all done that. Yeah.
Exactly. So I went and applied for a job, right? And I went through the process of the application process, and I had came in for a brief orientation, but I was supposed to start and go into training as a phone operator. It was like the signature group, something like that. So it would have been like sort of like telemarketing, but it was customer service, blah, 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 blah. So Bernie Mac, on Monday nights, I used to have a show at the Cotton Club. You know, and we all used to go and wait and hope he'd pick us and let us go up, blah, blah, blah. So we standing around, and things were kind of slow. And I had, you know, we were all talking about, man, this, and the other, and it ain't working out. Well, I told Dion, I said, man, I know, and you know, I got a son, man. So my son's the same exact age as my career. My son was born in September of '92. I started doing stand-up in November '92. Okay. So at this time, he's about 2, maybe going on 3 years old. And I said, dude, I got this kid, man, I got to go get a job. In fact, I start tomorrow. And Deion Cole said, what? In typical Deion Cole fashion, if he talk like that. He's like, man, D. He said, what? Man, them people in the comments that get jobs, they never come back to the microphone. And that resonated with me. So I went home that night and I laid in my bed and I looked at the ceiling and I contemplated and went back and forth and, you know, but my commitment, as you stated, I knew that this is what I was meant to do. Right. So I did not go to work. Wow. I did not go take that job because of that conversation I had with him. Because I kept hearing him say, they never come back to the microphone. So I didn't do it. And I tell you, I went back to Comic View, and this time as a competition, I won. And when I won, you know, you get a special. When you get the special, you get more opportunity to be seen. The more opportunity to be seen, my work took off. I started doing colleges, and my career went bananas from there. So if I hadn't have turned down that opportunity for the job and the circumstance, I might have not continued doing this, and I might not be talking to you right now as a comedian. That was one opportunity. And then later, as I stayed...
So hold on. Hey, just hold that thought, Damon, man.
I'll stay right here.
Bro. That was a phenomenal, because you know how many people right now are in the same circumstance, and I hope they heard that, and I hope it blessed them the way it blessed me. Because what I heard you say is you had a horrible circumstance, a horrible situation that didn't line up with your commitment for comedy, so it seemed, which is the resistance, right? I'm like, this is what resistance looks like when you have a goal. But you stayed committed. Deion Cole, in some ways, was your coach at that moment and said, look, man, you know, or what, like Deion do. Man, bro, if you get that job, a lot of people that get jobs don't come back to the mic. You heard him. And you stuck to your commitment. And that's when things took off for you. Right, exactly then. Right
after that, it all started to come together. And so that day I always remember it, and I always tell him that, you know, he literally, I believe, saved me. And now, on this level, when he got Conan, I was still in Chicago, he was out in L.A., and he would come, he would throw premises back and forth with all the Chicago comics. So we all want to see him win. So we all trying to help him, man, just keep that job because, you know, you're making history and you're in there, you know. And then he tried to return the favor and brought the producers from Conan to Chicago and did a showcase for all of us to get an opportunity to possibly be on the Conan O'Brien show. But I was like, okay, that's not my type of brand. Comedy. I could conform to fit the Conan, you know, motto, to stand there and be the, you know, the punchline, one-liner guy, that middle America would appreciate. But that's not what I did. But what I did want to do is write. And he said, well, man, I tell you what, I heard that they're looking for someone to write some things for the time during the morning show. So why don't you come up with something for them and reach out to them? So I did that. Right after he told me that, and I was like, okay, they had a position where Cheryl Underwood was on the show, and Cheryl Underwood had left, and I knew that they wanted a comedian in that spot doing what she was doing, but I didn't know that they had already hired Dominique, who took Cheryl's place after that. But that subsequently, the advice he gave me, I called in and said, you know, look, I got this bit I'd like to do. You know, y'all got her already doing what she's doing. I want to take obscure stories and stories that are not getting the shine off the beaten path of mainstream news and talk about those. And so from that, Seriously Ignorant News was born.
And by the way, it's funny. I mean, where do you find where do you find this stuff, man? I mean,
I tell you, people think I make it up sometimes. It's so outlandish, but there are websites you can find.
Okay.
You can do, but a lot of times, people on Twitter. I have one person on Twitter, and this person is Peking, like Peking, China, Peking 13. And this person, every time they find something stupid, they tweet it to me and they'll tag me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Want to do this?
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that I have listeners contribute to it, but I also have a primary source where I just go for strange news and stupid criminals, because they really want me to do like stupid criminal stories. Sometimes it'll be something further off that lane, but that's really my lane to be in, because they cover most of the other stuff. But man, it's so many stupid people.
Oh my goodness!
Things.
You told a story about robbers, about a robber on Tom Jordan Morning Show. I had to pull over, brother. I mean,
dude.
I mean,
the robbers are man. There's always like a bank robber or somebody like that might rob a bank, but write the note on the back of their own identity, like it might be a check stub from the house or the utility bill. They're like, "This is a robbery." They turn it over. Oh, never mind. So that thing has been helpful, because Tom is in so many markets, and so the people who knew us from back in the day, our comic view is not around anymore. They're like, "Well, where are you?" Well, this gives me a platform to be relevant, be funny, and for him to shout out where I'm performing, and that helps me get gigs because promoters hear that and blah blah blah. So that was another really big stepping stone.
Awesome. Well, Damon, man, it's been phenomenal having you on the show this morning. Thank you so much just for graciously giving. I told you already, your authenticity, your vulnerability, man, and then also your humor, bro. I mean, I learned a lot from you. I'm sure the listeners did. I can't wait to have you at the Murder Mediocrity Summit this upcoming Saturday to bring laughter, because what we're talking about is health and well-being. We're talking about love and relationships. We're talking about work and money, purpose and spirituality, which you talked about purpose a lot. I need to give you my spot. You just come up and talk about purpose. but man, and then, we're talking about life. And one of the things that hit me is we're talking about life, then we have to laugh, because in terms of life, there's nothing that's more fulfilling in our lives than when we laugh with the people that we love, the people that we work with, the people that are around us. That's what we remember more than anything, is those moments of laughter and joy. And that's what you do. That's your purpose, man. I really appreciate. One more time, where can people find you again?
Well, if you're social media wise, of course, I'm on Facebook, and that's Facebook and then / Damon Williams Comedy. My Instagram is Damon Williams Comedy, but live at Riddles every Friday and Saturday we're doing shows. I'm hosting most of them. I'm bringing in national acts and local acts. You can also tune in to Windy City Live occasionally, because I hit the host chat seat on that show. And every Tuesday morning, of course, I do the Tom Jordan Morning Show. Well, I know it's not this station, but in fact, you can Google or search Seriously Ignorant News if you want to hear all of my. You don't have to hear it on the radio. You can find all of my previous reports. There's a whole page of that stuff.
Nice.
And so if you listen to that, those all those stories are usually led by, you can catch Damon this week at. So between that and Instagram, Facebook, it's not hard to find. But get to Riddles, people. I need the support, because I'm doing this out of my own pocket. So if nobody shows up, I'm still going to pay my comedians. So I'm going out on a limb.
We're going to show up. 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 Y'all show up. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, Damon Williams, everyone. Thank you so much, Damon. Hey, if you haven't purchased your tickets, there's only about 20 left. MurderMediocrity.com. Next Sunday is Winning Sunday. I want people to call in with wins. We'll be back April 1st, April Fool's Day. Hey, have a phenomenal day. I'll see all of you who got tickets at the summit this upcoming Saturday. It's going to be a blessed event. It's going to be a funny event. It's going to be an inspirational event, motivational event. And more than anything, I just feel blessed to have you all listening. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you, and have a phenomenal day.
The talk of Chicago and the voice of the nation. 1690 WVON, Berwyn, Chicago.
All right, everyone.
Came out here,
I hope you all enjoyed the show. I know I did. Hey, Damon Williams, everybody, and he'll be at the summit. So, hey, that brother's guy, he was dropping some knowledge. I mean, I hope you were listening between the lines in terms of that's why he's successful. Right there, that's why he's successful. So, all right, chat with you guys later, and have a phenomenal Sunday.